Hi everyone, it's Tanya and welcome to today's video. And in today's video I'm going to talk all about my most anticipated fall book releases. So all the interesting book releases that I have on my radar. And with no further ado, let's begin. The first book that I want to talk about is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. In the beginning of this year, I read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, and I really loved that book. I enjoyed it so much, and that's why I'm so looking forward to her new release, Piranesi. I've been looking forward like whole year. I've already pre-ordered this book actually, and I'm just looking forward to the publication and finally receiving and reading it. Just judging from the cover of the book and judging from the synopsis of the book, it seems to me like it has some I'm not sure if it's going to be a direct retelling, if it just has like the inspiration in this ancient Greek myth of the monster in the labyrinth. Maybe it's not really related to the myth, maybe it's just connected to this Minoan civilization and their palaces. I'm not sure where this book is coming from, but it feels to me like it has all of those connections: Minoan civilization, ancient Greek mythology. So we will see. I need to read the book to like actually understand what it has. So the synopsis of the book is that we follow our main protagonist Piranesi, and he lives in this huge labyrinth of walls and rooms, and it's endless. And within this labyrinth there is also like an ocean. However, our main protagonist, he knows how to navigate this place. He understands the tides, he understands when the water rises, so the ocean doesn't really kill him. He understands how it works and how to survive, and basically his whole life is spent exploring this palace and exploring the labyrinth. There is also another person who sometimes from time to time comes and visits him, and the name is like The Other. And so the other comes and visits Piranesi, and he asks him to help in research of this a great and secret knowledge, the way it's put in the description. And while researching this great and secret knowledge, Piranesi comes across proof of existence of other people, and he discovers a whole other world outside of the walls and outside of the labyrinth that he has never known existed. I am excited to dive into the book. I'm so looking forward to it. Next book I'm so looking forward to is Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. I also, in the beginning of this year, I read Convenience Store Woman by this author and really adored it. Earthlings also sounds so interesting. In Earthlings we are going to follow two cousins, Natsuki and Yu. And when they were children, they were just playing around, and they were convinced that they were either witches or aliens from another planet. But then some sequence of some terrible events happen to their family and they get separated, but before they're separated they give each other a promise to survive. And so apparently in the second timeline we are going to follow Natsuki, who is currently living with her husband. Her husband is asexual, so that's why they obviously don't have any children, and all of her friends are like curious about like why, where are the children, what's going on. She's pretending that everything is okay, she's trying to lead this normal life, but at the same time some like dark shadows from her childhood are also haunting her, and she decides to go to the mountains and she decides to visit her and find her cousin Yu, and we will see what's going to happen. But yeah, Sayaka Murata really pleasantly surprised me with her Convenience Store Woman, and now I cannot wait to read her next book. The next book that I'm looking forward to is Troy, The Siege of Troy Retold by Stephen Fry. And basically the title of the book already speaks for itself. I feel like I don't really need to explain what it's about. It's going to be a retelling of the story of Troy by Stephen Fry. I haven't read Mythos and Heroes. I need to read those as well, but I will start with Troy. I'm looking forward to it. I like Stephen Fry as an actor and I want to try some of his books, so I will start with Troy. The next book sounds so interesting, and I haven't read anything by this author before, but just the book and the premise of it sounds so good. So the book is English Pastoral, and this is supposed to be something about relationship between humanity, like humankind, and nature. And this is one of the topics that I I'm very interested in, and I'm just, you know, concerned about. We have problems in ecology. And so from the synopsis, what I gathered from the synopsis, we follow this boy who was brought up in a farm, and his grandfather taught him how to work with the land the old way. But by the time the boy grows up and inherits the farm has changed drastically. It's basically dead. Like, old house is in ruins, the old stone barns are also ruined, women and men have left the place or died, so the place is practically dead. There isn't so much wildlife as there used to be. And so the way Blurbs puts it, it's the story of inheritance. It tells of how old rural landscapes have been brought to collapse. But at the same time, this book, I guess, is going to be hopeful, and it will be a story of a man who, just keeping the knowledge that his grandfather taught him, will restore this place to the beauty that it had before. So, sounds very good to me. Next book is also very exciting, and next book is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tales from the Cafe. So this is a sequel to Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and I have read this book recently. I have a reading vlog reading this book in Japanese coffee shops, and I really enjoyed that book. I liked it so much. It was so bittersweet, it made me so emotional. I loved that book a lot, and so this is the sequel. Also, I really like the cover. It's very reminiscent, very similar to the previous cover. This is going to be just a collection of, I think, 4 more stories of people who came to that magic cafe, ordered a cup of coffee, and traveled back in time. Looking forward. So excited. It's going to come out in September, middle of September. Next book is The Harpy by Megan Hunter. Again, I haven't read anything by Megan Hunter before. This book is supposed to be about relationships in the family, relationships between a husband and a wife. And I love family stories. There is something about this topic that is like, I don't know, just I really like, especially if they're heartwarming and if they're hopeful, if they are maybe have forgiveness, you know, if they have this like good sorts of things. So we will see what this book is going to be, how this book is going to be. But from what I gathered from the synopsis, this is a story of a husband and a wife. They live together. Husband works in the city and the wife works from home. She also takes care of the children. And one day her neighbor calls, and her neighbor tells her that he learned that his wife and her husband have been having an affair. So after she learns it, she obviously talks to her husband, and they decide not to separate for some reason. Well, they have a kid, so probably because of the child. They decide to stay together, but there is an agreement. She is going to hurt him 3 times. He will not know when those times are coming. As this game of crime and punishment starts, the woman starts to change herself. She changes inside, and she also changes on the outside somehow. And so the blurb says that told in dazzling musical prose, The Harpy by Megan Hunter is a dark fairy tale, at once mythical and otherworldly, and fiercely contemporary. So, looking forward to reading this book. It sounds very interesting. One more book that sounds very interesting to me is The Island of Mercy. In this story we follow 2 main characters. One of them is the woman who in 1965 works in the city of Bath, and she is renowned there for her extraordinary healing skills. People say that her touch can cure people. However, she believes that there is something more for her. Also, she is having an affair with a woman, but also a prospect of being like traditionally married to a famous doctor, and she is just trying to navigate her life. The next character is an Englishman living on the island of Borneo. Somehow these 2 stories will intertwine together in the future, and this is promised to be a story of like quest for an altered life, and the quest that takes us along through so many different cities such as Dublin, Paris, Bath, and the island of Borneo. Must be an interesting read. And the last book seems just like an interesting, fun read, 7 kinds of people you find in a bookshop. And the author herself, she is the owner of a few bookshops in England, Scotland. So I guess she's going to write about her experiences working in the bookshop and meeting all the types of readers. I personally expect it to be just a fun, enjoyable read with descriptions of some curious characters, you know, maybe unusual, maybe sometimes weird characters in the bookshops. These have been a few of my most anticipated fall book releases. All of these books sound interesting. Some of them are more interesting than others. Some of them I'm sure I will buy, such, I mean, I have already pre-ordered Piranesi. Some of them are just kind of on my radar and I'm thinking about them because they do sound interesting, but I might end up not getting them. So we will see what's gonna happen. But yeah, these books are interesting. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you found some of them also interesting. Let me know in the comments which of these books you would like to read. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a very good day, staying safe, and I will see you soon in my next videos. Thank you. Bye.